Hello. In this session, we're going to look at how we can begin the backend implementation. Now, if you follow the previous tutorial, you'll see that we had created the sign up segment. However, we need where the form will go the moment the user hits on the sign up so that we can create the data at the backend. This is what we're going to be doing with Django REST framework. Now, we had created the skeleton earlier in the lessons, but this segment we're just going to implement the sign up session. To do that, I had updated some documents that you need to also see. So if you go to our GitHub repository where we have our AI chats bot, and you go to I think the first thing you should look at first, we are currently on commit number 11. So you may have gotten to this session maybe later and the commit may be more than this number. Just ensure that if you click on the commit, for instance, you can locate number 11 so that you can see the segment that we are currently on. Now, without further ado, let's go back to where we are. So what I need to navigate to now is the backend because that's where we're working on. So if we look at the backend, you can see that I added doc. Now the doc has added doc for lesson 6. So if I open it up, you'll see the documentation that was added. You'll hear me repeat this phrase often. In this era of artificial intelligence, everything is all about context. Context is what gives the artificial intelligence an idea of how you want things to be implemented. So take for instance, just imagine we go to the AI and say, implement backend for our form. It is just going to create things randomly. And of course, we don't want it to just create things randomly. So what we need to do is ensure that we have instructions that tally with how we want things to be implemented. And that is why you would see me have documentation every time you look at what we have here. So all I need to do right now is find a way to just walk you through what has changed here. So pretty much we're going to be creating SignupAPIView, and which is going to accept post request. So from post request, we're going to be passing the username, email, first name, and all of the information that we are going to be grabbing from the front end. So if you look at the fields that we have here, it tallies with the data we're expecting our backend to receive. Also, when we're done doing that, we want to return the data, like we want to return everything. The only addition is we want to add access token. So the access token is going to be what we'll use to authenticate the user every time they make new requests. So take for instance, you don't want user A to be able to access user B, vice versa. So access token is what we're going to be using to always authenticate the user to know who they are, whether they have the authority to do something or not. Okay, so these are some of the things we will learn, right? But I also broke down some of the steps, and you can also see we have this segment where we're going to be adding the URL, we're going to be adding the view, and all of that. Now, the cool thing here is that you could take something like maybe this first prompt and take it to any of the AI and ask it to generate a step-by-step guide for you. It will do a very clean job. All you need to do is ensure that you take a look at it and update whatever you don't want. I created this by myself just because I want to ensure that things are kept very simple. So let's take this same prompt to an AI and see whether we're able to get what we need. I know in the previous edition I introduced VS Code. But now I am changing to Cursor again, and I'll tell you why. While using VS Code AI, I just noticed some limitations, and it would be nice we use an AI that really works for us. I know they just released it and is unable to really carry out most of the things I want. I believe that if you're watching this video later in future, perhaps all of my concerns will have been fixed. And some of the concerns I really have is that sometimes when you put in a prompt, for instance, let me show you what I mean. Say for instance, I enable it. When you put in a prompt, sometimes it just tells you that, oh, it cannot implement it and it's currently running through an unending loop. So that frustrates me a lot. So we're just going to be migrating to Cursor again. And that's the cool thing about some of these tools. One doesn't work, you switch to the other. So there's nothing like really, oh, I am a fan of this and I must use this. If it doesn't work, you just go somewhere else and use something else that works. Okay, so let's open new window. And by opening new window, what I have to do is navigate to where we have our backend project so that we can start the implementation. Okay, we're waiting for Cursor AI to come up. Okay, so what I need to do now is open the bracket, the folder where we have our AI chatbots. I'll still go deeper. I need just the backend segment. Okay, now, so I have the backend segment, and if you go to the docs, you'll see that we have similar thing to what I showed you initially. So once we look at the doc, somehow I think this is not downloading. It's taking some time. But looking at the doc, we're going to see similar things that we have initially, and what we will just tell Cursor AI is to go ahead and implement. Okay, here we go. And if you look at it, very similar to what I had explained initially. So first, I think in order for us to just do a few things, let's take a look at some of the commands. So we are asking it to create a new app. In other words, it's going to create a new folder here. We're also asking it to, so I think maybe we can just run that by ourselves. So I'll just open the terminal and we'll try to run that create app command just so that Cursor doesn't have issues with that. So we're going to start the app. And this should create the authuser app. So this is, in the app is where we're going to manage everything about user. Alright, so the user is being created. You can see the folder here. Sometimes it is important that you run some of these commands by yourself. And the most important reason is that you get to save yourself some AI units. Just imagine that the AI would create all these things for me. It means that it will already take some tokens away, which I can use for all the project or other commands. So also part of what you'll be doing along the way is look at things that you can implement yourself that would save you some tokens so that you can have more tokens to do more things. Now that we have these, I think it's time for us to run this command. But you know what? In order not to confuse the AI, it would be very good that we just remove this segment just for the sake of this, because we had run this already. So I'll just save that and come here. I will just tell it to implement this instruction. All right, so let's hit that and wait for it to do the magic. So it's just gonna review everything that we have and of course try to update everything and give us what we need. In fact, maybe just for you to really understand which of these AI works better, you can try this Cursor and try to run the same instruction on VS Code so that you see the difference, because I had done it and I know that the two responses, Cursor works better as at the point of this the recording of this video. But you can try it yourself and see which one works well for you. Okay, we'll just go ahead and let's take a look at what the AI is doing from the beginning. So he added the authuser that we just created, which is cool. Then created the view, imported few things, created signup view. Okay, added the view to the URL. That is good. And of course, okay, this is good. Also added, so it's just following the instruction. You can see created URL, it did that. Then it went to our base URL. We went to the base URL and add the API for us, which is also very good. So now I think it is done. You can even see provided us the sample JSON, which is really good. So we're just going to accept everything and let's go and check if we're fine. So if we come here and look at our view first, we should be able to see this, which is really good. All right, so this is just going through and ensuring that everything is catered for. Okay, now we can go ahead, see what else we can do. So if I check again, if I come here, I think everything is in order. What we need to do now is test that our API works. Let me open the terminal, just ensure that everything is running. So we're just going to say, we need to go into the environment. So I'm going to say script. So look at the command. You just have .env, which we had here before, this folder. So we went into the folder and we activate. Now this works differently for those who are using Mac. You can just either Google or check any of the AI how to activate environment on your Mac and you should be able to see something. Okay, so we just activated the env here. So we need to just run the server. So the command to run the server, python manage.py run server. And once we do that, we should have our server running. Now the thing here is we need to test that this API endpoint is working. First, if you check our base URL, okay, our base URL, we should have something here. So this is more like your base. So let me show you what I mean. We are going to copy this because this is our URL. Then for us to test that this is working, let's go to Postman. Now you can either use Postman online or you can download the desktop app. So just search for Postman, create an account, and what we need to do right now is create a collection. So I just need a basic, I think REST API basics. Just select that and you can come to the post because we're about to make post request. I'll just remove this their template and paste this base URL which we copied from just running the server. The next thing I want to copy is this base URL, the path to our app. So this is the path to our app. I'll paste that. Now that's not all. You then need to go to your URL in the app. We then have sign up. So you add that too. And if we hit send, we should get an error that all fields are required. And that is, of course, that makes sense because we haven't included anything. So if you come to the body where you're going to include all the data, what you can do is paste this body that Koso had generated for us. Then we can just come here and paste it. So by so doing, we have access to something that we can use as the base data. So if I hit on send, and this should create our user for us. If everything works fine, boom, you can see that the user had been created. We got status code 201 and the user data, and also the access token that we requested for. This makes a lot of sense. What we need to do now is to see the user table in the database. For us to do that, if we come to so what we can do, if we come to the browser, we're looking for the browser now, and we do 127, and we just try to visit the admin. Our port is 8000, and we try to log in. This is not going to work. The reason is because we are yet to create super user. So let's go back to our terminal, and I'm going to kill this, Ctrl C. Then we're going to say Python manage.py create super user, and this should allow us to create super user. Once this runs, it should ask us some questions, and we're going to then use those things. So I think my username is Noah Olatoye. It says this username already exists. I think I had created that before. So let's just try something else. Let's say username. The address, I can leave the address blank. I just choose a password again. And this has given us our username, super username. So let me just say username here, and we should be able to log in into the admin segment. Okay, that is not working because we killed the server. So let's spin up the server again. All right, so I'm just going to refresh this. You can see now, I'm not going to say this, I'll just cancel it. You can see now that we currently have access to the admin dashboard. And if you check the user table or the user model, you see that you're able to see the new user that we added. So this is the test user we created. And in fact, if we want to create another one, if we do something like this now, this should complain, telling our username already exists. If I then put maybe test user 2, and we try it out, email already exists as well, email example 2, and that should go through. All right, so if we refresh, okay, now you can see that we have the new record that we created. This is how fun it is to use backend and AI implementation. Now the thing is this, just to recap what we did here, the bunch of the work really is this documentation. The bunch of the work is documentation. Reading to understand this documentation really makes sense. And I think one way to even make sense out of this is you could copy this document, go to any of the AI and just say, please explain in detail what is going on in the document, in this doc, and you paste it. The AI would analyze and give you breakdown of what is going on, and you're able to understand step by step what aspects the decision, what this is doing, etc., etc. So don't feel anything is complicated. You feel anything you don't understand, copy that segment, ask the AI to explain to you, and you would get more things to help you really understand what is going on. So right now, we've been able to create a URL, which we usually call endpoint. It is this endpoint now that we will then connect to our front end in the next lesson. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for staying with me till this moment. If you like this session, please subscribe to our channels and follow us on all our social media handles so that you'll be notified every time we release a new update. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one.